Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Character: Dr. Henry Jekyll and his alternative personality, Mr. Edward Hyde, is a fictional character in Robert Louis Stevenson's 1886 novella Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Television: Dr. Jekyll appeared in some of Warner Bros., Looney Tunes, and Merry Melodies animated shorts. In Hyde and Hair Drive, Jekyll brings Bugs Bunny to his apartment. When Dr. Jekyll drinks his formula, he becomes Mr. Hyde, who is depicted with green skin and red eyes. Around the end of the cartoon, Bugs Bunny drinks the formula and starts to turn into a Hyde-like rabbit. In Hide and Go Tweet Drive, Jekyll drinks a formula that turns himself into Mr. Hyde, with the commotion waking Sylvester up until he sees Dr. Jekyll back to his normal self. Tweety later exposes himself to Dr. Jekyll's formula, where he becomes a Hyde-like canary. The episode Dr. Jekyll's Hyde features Sylvester turning into a Hyde-like cat upon ingesting the formula, which he mistook for soda pop, where he attacks Spike the Bulldog and Chester the Terrier. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde appear in Climax episode, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, hosted by Bill Lundigan. This episode was originally aired on the 28th of July 1955. The story was adapted for television by Gore Vidal. The Star Trek, the original series episode, The Enemy Within, explores the age-old inner conflict between good and evil within one man. In this episode, Captain Kirk is duplicated by a transporter beam accident, thus creating the dual personalities without developing rather than a medical serum for the plot device. Upon arrival on the ship, a good, but passive captain, practically incapable of being dominant and thus commanding as a captain, must be, as assumed by all, to be the only Captain Kirk. Shortly thereafter, his evil, or other, duplicate arrives, seeking pleasure, drink, women, and command. The duality of each captain, one displaying excessive passivity and the other extreme violence, will ultimately end in the destruction of each unless they are reintegrated into one captain. In The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the Victorian-era exploration of Christianity's inner conflict of good and evil results in Dr. Jekyll succumbing to man's inner evil and becoming Mr. Hyde in the end. In Star Trek's The Enemy Within retelling, it is the negative or evil side that is portrayed as the source of strength and leadership necessary for effective command. By combining the positive aspects of man's dual inner nature, a holistic view of the future is presented that draws on man's deep past, as written in the Book of Job. The Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? episode, Nowhere to Hide, features the ghost of Mr. Hyde, who is committing jewelry store robberies, and one of the suspects is a descendant of Dr. Jekyll. The ghost of Mr. Hyde later made a cameo in Scooby-Doo and the Goblin King as a patron in a monster bar. In the Dino Mutt Dog Wonder episode, Everyone Hide, the criminal Willie the Weasel creates a similar formula that turns him into Mr. Hyde. In the Gravedale High episode, Fear of Flying, there is a medical version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde that works as a doctor for the monsters. Mr. Hyde serves as Dr. Jekyll's partner, where Dr. Jekyll would turn into him for any second opinions of anyone's medical problems. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde appear in the Animaniacs episode, Brain Meets Brawn, voiced by Jeff Bennett. Dr. Jekyll was seen taking a serum that turns him into Mr. Hyde, whereas then attacked by the police. They take a break in the conflict when tea time occurs. Afterwards, the police subdue Mr. Hyde and take him away to the police station. Dr. Jekyll's serum inspires Brain to take it so that he can break Big Ben in this monster form whenever Brain gets angered. The 2007 TV serial Jekyll starred James Nesbitt as Tom Jackman, a modern Jekyll whose Hyde persona wreaks havoc in modern London. In the course of the series, it is revealed that the original Jekyll's transformation into Hyde was a natural process, triggered by Jekyll's love for his maid rather than any kind of potion. And Jackman is the descendant of one of Hyde's bastard sons, while his wife is a clone of Jekyll's maid created by a corporation to try and duplicate the Hyde process. As with most modern adaptations, Hyde is depicted as possessing superhuman strength, able to tear a lion apart with his bare hands, and is depicted as being impulsive and childish rather than explicitly evil. Although the physical changes are fairly subtle, such as Hyde having darker eyes and a different hairstyle. At the series' conclusion, Hyde apparently sacrifices himself to save Jackman, dying when he is shot, but somehow able to stop Jackman's sharing the damage, with the result that the bullets remain in Jackman, but he has no injuries to demonstrate where they entered his body. NBC's Do No Harm is a modern retelling of the Jekyll and Hyde story featuring a renamed Jekyll-like character named Dr. Jason Colt trying to stop his drug-addicted, sociopathic, Hyde-like counterpart named Ian Price from ruining his professional and private life. Unlike the original story, the main character is a highly respected neurosurgeon who is able to keep his alter ego in check through the use of an experimental sedative. Also, Jason suffers from dissociative identity disorder instead of developing a serum that separates the good and evil in a person. The Phineas and Ferb episode, The Monster of Phineas and Ferbenstein, features the villain Dr. Jekyll Doofenshmirtz drinking a potion to turn himself into a monster. The Penn Zero, part-time hero episode, Rip Penn, features Penn as Dr. Barzelby, who accidentally drinks a potion that turns him into a monster version of Penn's nemesis Ripon. SBS's Hyde, Jekyll, Me portrays a man, Gusio Jin, who is in line as a successor of the conglomerate group his family owns, but has dissociative identity disorder. His other personality, Robin, is the opposite of his usual cold, cynical self. Robin is kind, gentle and has a savior complex. Shahzad Latif portrays an Anglo-Indian Dr. Henry Jekyll on the third season of Penny Dreadful. In the show, Jekyll is the illegitimate child of an English nobleman and an Indian woman. His father abandoned Jekyll and his mother in India, and after Jekyll's mother dies from leprosy, he goes to the University of Cambridge, where he befriends Victor Frankenstein, but is ultimately expelled from Cambridge after getting into a fight with a professor due to the professor's racist comments. He then works at Bedlam Hospital, developing a serum to pacify patients and bring out a calm, tame nature. In the last episode of the show, Jekyll's father dies and he inherits his title, Lord Hyde. The 2015 TV series Jekyll and Hyde focuses on the illegitimate grandson of Henry Jekyll, Dr. Robert Jekyll, who has inherited his grandfather's Hyde personality. While Robert is initially able to control his transformation with pills, as the series unfolds he learns about various demonic threats to the world, and is forced to harness the superhuman strength he possesses as Hyde to oppose these forces. In the course of the series, Robert Jekyll works with Henry Jekyll's old assistant, and even meets Henry Jekyll's lover, although his Hyde persona never gains a first name. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde appear in Once Upon a Time, with Dr. Jekyll portrayed by Hank Harris, and Mr. Hyde portrayed by Samuel Witwer. They first appear in the season 5 finale, Only You, and An Untold Story. Dr. Jekyll and Misty HYDE are shown as inhabitants of the land of untold stories, who follow the heroes to Storybrooke. In Season 6, it's revealed that Jekyll's serum failed to remove his capacity for evil, and he is killed by Captain Hook, which causes HYDE to die as well as a side effect of the serum. Film. John Barrymore played Jekyll and Hyde in the 1920 silent movie adaptation of the novel. Frederick March played Jekyll and Hyde in the 1931 film adaptation of the novel, for which he won the Academy Award for Best Actor. Spencer Tracy played Jekyll and Hyde in the 1941 film adaptation of the novel. John Hannah played Jekyll and Hyde in the 2003 television film adaptation of the novel. Dr. Jekyll and Misty Hyde appear in Abbott and Costello Meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, played by Boris Karloff. In the Hammer horror film Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde Drive, Jekyll, rather than transforming into an ugly, deformed monster, transforms into a beautiful yet malicious femme fatale. Dr. Jekyll and Misty Hyde appear in Mad Monster Party, voiced by Alan Swift. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde appear as guests at a party thrown by Baron Boris von Frankenstein at his castle on the Isle of Evil. Dr. Jekyll keeps his elixir in his cane whenever he wants to turn into Mr. Hyde. Also, Drive. Jekyll's cane doubles as an umbrella as seen when Mr. Hyde uses it to keep the sleeping creature from spewing water onto him at night. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde appear in Mad Monsters, voiced again by Alan Swift. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde are among the monsters invited by Baron Henry von Frankenstein to attend the wedding of Frankenstein's monster and its mate at the Transylvania Astoria Hotel. Mr. Hyde appears in The Nightmare Before Christmas, voiced by Randy Crenshaw. He appears as one of the citizens of Halloween Town. Only seen in his Hyde form, he keeps two smaller versions of himself underneath his hat. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde appear in the 1994 film The Pagemaster, voiced by Leonard Nimoy. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde appear in the 1996 film Mary Riley, portrayed by John Malkovich. The film The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen features Jason Fleming as both Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde are employed by the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen to combat the ruthless criminal known as the Phantom, who is revealed in the course of the film to be the man who recruited them, and also Professor Moriarty, who intends to acquire the power of the League for use in his plans to trigger a world war and sell his weapons for profit. His mole in the League, Dorian Gray, manages to acquire a sample of the Hyde serum, which he is able to duplicate. One of Moriarty's men drinking a massive overdose of the Hyde serum to become an even larger version of Hyde. Despite the other Hyde's size and raw power, he is defeated when he burns through the formula at an accelerated rate, resulting in Moriarty's fortress collapsing on top of him. Dr. Jekyll and Misty Hyde appear in Van Helsing, with Dr. Jekyll portrayed by Stephen Fisher, while Robbie Coltrane provides the voice of the CGI animated Mr. Hyde. Like the version that was seen in The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Mr. Hyde is also portrayed as a large, hulking brute. Van Helsing has pursued Hyde to Paris, France after having failed to capture him in an earlier confrontation in London, England. He is superhumanly strong and displays agility comparable to that of a great ape. While not invulnerable, he's extremely tough and sustains severe injuries that ultimately do little to impede or slow him down to any appreciable degree. Upon exchanging banter, they begin fighting in the bell tower of Notre Dame Cathedral, with Van Helsing initially gaining the advantage by severing Hyde's left arm at the biceps. which regresses to a normal form after landing on the floor. Hyde rallies and assaults Van Helsing, using his right arm to hurl him through the roof of the cathedral. He then gloats before tossing Van Helsing off the roof, only for Van Helsing to fire a grappling gun that sends the hook and line through the center of Hyde's body, which Van Helsing uses to stop his fall. He attempts to pull Hyde off the roof, only for Hyde to begin pulling him upward, seemingly unfazed by the large hole in his body. Hyde trips over the edge of the roof, his falling weight pulling Van Helsing up to the roof before the line breaks. As it breaks, the momentum swings Hyde through the rose window of the cathedral, and, while he falls, Hyde transforms back into the form of Henry Jekyll and dies from the fall. A police officer spots Van Helsing on top of the cathedral and holds him accountable for Dr. Jekyll's death. The novelization of the film portrays Hyde as not only a murderer, but a cannibal as well. The novel says the body of the murdered woman Van Helsing discovers on the streets of Paris as partially devoured, while the same scene in the film shows the woman's body intact. However, the film does suggest that Hyde is cannibalistic when he encounters Van Helsing in Notre Dame and tells him, "You're a big one. You'll be hard to digest." A creature that might be Mr. Hyde appears in Hotel Transylvania. He is seen around the end of the movie, when everyone is singing the Zing. The Dynamite version of Mr. Hyde appeared in Scooby-Doo: Mask of the Blue Falcon, voiced by John DiMaggio. Russell Crowe played Dr. Jekyll in The Mummy, which is the first installment in Universal's Dark Universe, and is a role which will be elaborated on in further films within the series. It is suggested that Jekyll's transformation into Hyde was a natural condition, as he reflects on how someone implied to be him realized that he was succumbing to evil, but was able to find a cure as a physician, requiring regular injections of an unspecified compound to prevent himself becoming Hyde. Despite the personality transformation drive, Jekyll and Misty Hyde have the same appearance, with the exception of their skin and eyes, although they also have a different palm print, with the result that palm scanners that will allow Jekyll access prohibit Hyde from using the door. Comics. In the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Volume 1 and Volume 2 by Alan Moore and Kevin O'Neill, Henry Jekyll is a scientist who is the lesser half of Edward Hyde, and member of the Victorian League. This incarnation of Jekyll and Hyde reveals that eventually Jekyll found that he would transform into Hyde under stress, and that Hyde had become progressively taller than Jekyll, while Jekyll became shorter. During a dinner scene, Hyde explains that this is because splitting himself and Jekyll into separate identities resulted in him losing his restraints and growing beyond his original limits, while Jekyll withered away without any real drive. During the Martian invasion, he developed a strong respect for Mina Murray and sacrificed himself to stop Martian tripods from crossing London Bridge. His self-sacrifice was honored in having Serpentine Park named into Hyde Park, and a statue of Mr. Hyde is seen in the park in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Black Dossier, and throughout the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Volume 3, Century. The Marvel Comics superhero Hulk is loosely based on Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and Frankenstein's monster, the supervillain Mr. Hyde, is more directly inspired by Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. The DC Comics supervillain Two-Face was inspired by Dr. Jekyll and Misty Hyde due to their split personality. Music. The Who recorded the song, Dr. Jekyll and Misty Hyde, on their album Magic Bus. The Who on tour Renaissance recorded the song, Jekyll and Hyde, on their album Azure Door. The Damned recorded a song titled Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde on the 1980 release The Black Album. South Korean boy band VIXX released their first mini-album, HYDE, and first repackaged mini-album, JEKYLL, based on the novel. Heavy metal band Judas Priest released a song entitled JEKYLL and HYDE on their 2001 album, Demolition. Die Totenhosen recorded Alles aus Liebe, or in English, All for the Sake of Love, and this song references Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. American rock band Hailstorm released an album in 2012 called The Strange Case of, with a track called MZ. HYDE, the title of the album and song, is referencing singer LZZY Hale's on-stage and off-stage sides to her life. Christian power metal band Theocracy released the song HYDE in the Fairy Tale on the album As the World Bleeds in 2011, which references Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in the song. In 2015, Five Finger Death Punch released a single named Jekyll and Hyde. Ice Nine Kills released the single Me, Myself and Hyde in February 2015. There is a rapper from New York who goes by the name of Mr. Hyde. Zac Brown Band released the album JEKYLL plus HYDE in 2015. Miscellaneous. The LEGO minifigures theme has a character in Series 9 named Mr. Good and Evil, who is based on Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. In Monster High, there are characters named Jackson Jekyll and Holt Hyde, who are the sons of Dr. Jekyll. They are voiced by Cindy Robinson in the webisodes and TV specials. In Fate, Prototype, Fragments of Blue and Silver, a light novel series based on the original drafts of Fate, Stay Night, Drive, Jekyll appears as the servant of the Berserker class, portrayed as a gentle and good-looking young man. His noble phantasm allows him to transform into Mr. Hyde. Thank you for watching. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Please like and subscribe below. Please like and subscribe below.